Welcome to the Hot Slice Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy White. I am joined today by Creative Director Josh Keown.
Hello, guys.
And Executive Editor Denise Greer.
Hello.
Hey, guys. So this is kind of different. We kicked off the first season with the three of us sitting around chatting, introducing the podcast, and kind of talking about what we're going to talk about on this podcast and some of the guests we would have. And then every week thereafter, we've had a guest. And now as we're wrapping up season one, it's the tribe's back together again. Us three amigos are going to sit down and answer some questions from our readers, which will be a lot of fun.
I'm so excited. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah. I mean, we also don't get to, since we're working from home, we don't get to chat a lot together, anymore. So this will be great.
It will be a lot of fun. A shout out to Katie, who is our sound engineer / audio wizard / producer today. She's in the background. What's up, Katie?
Hey.
Hey. All right. So, Josh, you have a list of questions that Pizza Today readers have sent in to us. We solicited questions a variety of ways. They could submit them through social media channels. Some actually sent in audio files, which was pretty cool. Emails. We kind of opened the floodgates a little bit, and we have a lot of questions, right?
Yes. Let's just go ahead and get started.
Hey everyone, it's Katie, art director at Pizza Today, here to interrupt your podcast with a short commercial break. Figuring out how to do delivery right can be a daunting task, especially when it comes to third-party platforms, in-house delivery, contactless solutions, and POS functionality. Fortunately, the innovators at PDQ have developed the Delivery Toolkit app, a convenient single source that can measurably enhance all aspects of delivery while saving time, effort, and costs. Rooted in metrics, the multi-integrated PDQ Delivery Toolkit is a must-have resource for your store. Learn why at pdqdt.com or call 877-968-6430. That's 877-968-6430. And now, back to the slice.
Great, let's do something a little bit topical. This is from Bob Henry. I saw a news blurb yesterday about a pepperoni supply shortage. Any truth to this? Yes. There is plenty of truth to that.
Yeah. Hey, Denise, you really cover supply chain management pretty well.
Yeah.
If you want to kick off with this, but the short answer is that there is a shortage out there.
Yeah. And the thing about supply chain, especially during this time, is what you have is you have plants reducing production because they don't have as many employees, and then you have pepperoni demand is just so high right now. Demand for pizza in general is really high. So those kind of two combined, that you are going to see a little bit of that, those shortages. But I think, you can really mitigate those by, sometimes you do have to look, keep an eye on your pricing. There are times when you are going to have to adjust your pricing because the price may jump. Since the pandemic began, we have seen meats have some issues with supply chain. So it's just taking a look and mitigating it at every instance and really keeping an eye on your inventory.
Yeah, I hear pepperoni is pretty low on the meat packing chain. It's like, it's one of those things, it's this kind of an afterthought. And, and I'm seeing like it's like $2 extra a pound. People are paying for that now. Yeah,
we are seeing that a little bit. Now, I have talked to operators who aren't experiencing shortages, and they're using very, it really depends on probably the product you're using. If it's a very common, popular product, then you may have some issues with it. If it's a more specialized product, you may not see as many problems. So it's something that you're going to have to keep a really close eye on.
Right. And, supply chain was, throughout this pandemic, we've usually seen it kind of evened out, like with toilet paper and everything else. So hopefully things will even out pretty soon.
And we've seen that when it comes to meats, when they have had prosciutto had an issue, a couple of other meats had an issue. They usually only lasted between a couple of days and a couple of weeks. So doing substitutions, your customers hopefully will be understanding if you do experience shortages, and you should let them know, hey, your hands are tied when it comes to any shortages that you may experience.
Now, a shortage, it is legitimate. It is there. But like you said, Denise, maybe it may depend on where you are regionally or what product or brand of product you use. I think it's important that we all keep in mind pepperoni is far and away, and it's not even close, far and away the most popular pizza topping in the United States. And I think that really one of the things that we don't talk about with this quote unquote shortage is that, the large players, the national chains, the Pizza Huts, the Domino's, Papa John's, those really large players in the segment, they have contracts that they set well in advance with their suppliers. And as a result of that, their pricing structure isn't really changing much, and their supply is not being interrupted because they, many months ago set contracts with their suppliers. So if someone is having difficulty getting their hands on pepperoni, let's say, it is most likely going to be a small operation and a mom and pop shop, an independent who does not have that sort of leverage. And like you said, their supply might be interrupted briefly. It's not going to be a long-term thing. The other thing, Denise, Josh, we were just recently visiting a pizzeria here in our home city of Louisville, Kentucky. We were talking to the owner, and he mentioned some supply chain interruptions that he had, specifically with a certain type of cheese. And Denise, if I recall correctly, he basically was about 2 to 3 weeks without that specific cheese. Is that correct?
Yeah. And he did do a little substitutions.
Yeah, so we're not going to be in a situation where, oh my, pizzeria is my most popular topping, or pepperoni is my most popular topping in my pizzeria, and I'm not going to be able to get my hands on pepperoni for the next 6 months. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah. It's just going to make a lot of headlines for a couple of weeks, and it'll probably just even on out.
Yeah, we'll move on to a hand sanitizer wipes again.
Yeah.
All right, next question. This is comes from David Long at Kingdom Pusher on Instagram. What is the biggest mistake you consistently see pizzerias make?
Oh man, I think
what a
go
great
around the room. Go ahead and start, Jeremy.
Really good question. Well, so I've been covering the pizza industry for over 20 years now. That dates me just a little bit, but I've had the opportunity to walk in and out of thousands of pizzerias over the last 2 decades. And while most of them do a very good job at everything, and that's why they're still in business, I definitely do see a common thread. I definitely do see some mistakes. And the biggest mistake I see are people getting into the business undercapitalized. They just don't have an adequate understanding of the cash flow that they're going to need in order to be successful. So they either really don't have the proper funding to get into the business yet, or they just do a really poor job of estimating what kind of capital they're going to need to operate for a period of time. So it's really a financial mistake that I typically see. I see people get into the business thinking it's going to make money right away, very quickly and very easily, not understanding that it may take them a little while to become profitable, not having the capital that they need to sustain that, and then they go out of business. So that's probably the number one mistake I personally see.
Yeah. And to kind of piggyback off of that, I mean, I've been in the industry now for 10 years. So I've definitely seen my fair share of pizza operations. And probably the thing I see the most is, people get into the business because they love pizza and they love to make pizza and they're really good. They have a dynamite pizza and they're ready to get it to market. And the thing that they're missing a lot of the times is that the numbers and just not understanding the business side of a pizzeria. And I think that a lot of operators, and that's why we have things like the School of Pizzeria Management, is because a lot of times the operators are really good at the kitchen side of things. But when you go front of house or, financials, marketing, those types of things, they're not as proficient. And so either they can bring somebody on or, they can just learn it, and they should learn it, because knowing your numbers is going to keep you in business and help you flourish and succeed and grow.
Yeah, Denise and I discussed this question yesterday on our road trip. But yeah, and I totally agree. It's, the food is great, but everything else falls to the waste. And so, yeah, that's definitely, and also, just really bad cheese is another thing.
Yeah.
If you give me good cheese, I'm good. All All right. So next question. This comes from Brian Weevil. Is that plant in Jeremy White's office still alive?
Oh, my boy Brian. What's up, Brian?
Former guest editor of Pizza Today, Brian Weevil.
Yeah, so many years ago, it's probably been 7 or 8 years ago now, we did a really fun contest. We basically asked our readers, who wants my job? Who wants to be the guest editor of Pizza Today? Hijack an issue for the month. So I think we might have done the September issue, if I remember correctly.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, Brian, out of many submissions, Brian ended up winning that contest. He got to come in, spend a week in our office, and really in 1 week we try to condense and distill our process in 1 week as best we could. And he made assignments, he edited articles, he selected some content that went to the magazine, he's helped select photos and guide what would be on the cover. He basically kind of took over the issue for that week, which was
he went into the kitchen with us too.
Yeah, made videos, food styled. Yeah,
we shot some videos, some food prep. It was a lot of fun. We really had a blast hanging out with Brian, and Brian's become a buddy since that time. And sometimes we clown on one another. And no, Brian, to answer your question, unfortunately, that plant, which was once very robust and beautiful and healthy, about 5 or 6 years ago, it met its untimely demise, most likely due to neglect on my part, unfortunately.
Hey, the fish in the office are still alive. I will say that thanks to Bill Oakley.
Bill Oakley's still coming into the office.
He's our
eating the fish.
He's our main man with Pizza Expo, and he comes in even during the pandemic and feeds the fish. So our fish.
Hey, look, guys, I've got a 15-year-old, an 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old. A 15-year-old son, an 11-year-old son, and an 8-year-old Siberian Husky. Basically, I can be counted on to keep a human alive and to keep an animal alive, but I cannot be counted on to keep a plant alive. All right, that's the moral of the story.
All right. So sorry, Brian.
Thanks for the really crappy question, Brian.
All right, this comes from Wonder Pizza Company. If you could only do one form of marketing, what would it be and why? I'll go ahead and start this one, and it would definitely be social media. You can't target in your audience any better than with social media. But I mean, there's a lot to understand there when you're, with Facebook ads and Instagram ads and sponsored ads. So you really got to dig in there. But I think that's the best way of reaching your audience right now.
Yeah. My first instinct is also social, but if there's anything this pandemic has taught me is that community involvement, which is definitely a form of marketing, is your number one tool, because the community really came back for pizzerias and just knocked it out of the park for a lot of pizzerias during this time. And it was definitely the community involvement that got them back in.
You're both absolutely correct. And, old school, new school, there was a time 20 or 30 years ago, maybe door hangers were where it's at. You know what I'm saying? You would send a delivery. You'd have a high school kid that worked for you on the weekends delivering pizzas Friday and Saturday nights. You'd have him come in on a Sunday or a Wednesday or whenever. You'd hand him 1,000 door hangers and you tell him to go canvass every neighborhood within 5-mile radius of your shop. Hang the hanger on the front door, and you'd get a lot of business off of that. I'm not going to say that that's dead, because sometimes these old school methods will surprise you and will still work very well, because people have neglected them, and sometimes when you bring them back, they work. But I would have to go with Josh on this one and say social media right now. You just have an ability to reach such a large audience quickly, inexpensively. Video, photography can really showcase your food or the ambiance in your pizzeria or the culture of your company and what you're all about. You can just reach so many people so easily now with social media that I think anyone not in the social media game are really doing their business a disservice.
Yeah, we spoke with Nick Bogantz a few weeks ago, and that's what he prides himself on is Facebook and getting the geo in on, the exact location of his, surrounding people. So yeah, I'm going with social.
I mean, this
All right.
geo targeting, what's it called? Geofencing,
Yeah,
what's the exact?
geofencing.
Yeah.
Geofencing is it's really it's an amazingly interesting concept, and for those listening who may not be as proficient in technology and may not know exactly what that is, you can basically dial in and discover potential customers that are within a mile radius of your pizzeria on social media, or within 500 feet if you really wanted to. You can really dial in and try to reach those people that are right there within whatever parameters you set. And that's really cool technology that, didn't exist for some of the older operators that listen to the podcast and read the magazine. That wasn't around back in their heyday. It's pretty cool.
Hey everyone, it's Katie, art director at Pizza Today, here to interrupt your podcast with a short commercial break. Performance Food Service is proud to deliver high-quality products, innovative technology, and custom operational solutions to restaurants of all sizes across the country. The flagship division of Performance Food Group, with deep roots in the restaurant industry, Performance Food Service has been the exclusive distributor of the Roma family of brands for more than 65 years. This signature relationship has allowed Performance Food Service to become a leader in the pizza and Italian segment of food service nationwide. Your friends at Message on Hold are happy to introduce our voice-over IP service. Message on Hold Phones is our solution for phone service. If the internet goes down, it's no problem. You can still take online and phone orders. No busy signal ever. Professionally recorded, customized messaging for your business ensures that your customer gets the message that you want delivered to them every time. Save money and get new phones. Visit www.messageonholdservice.com/phones. And now, back to the slice.
All right, for our next question, let's go to our audio engineer, Katie Wilson. She has a voice recording question for us.
All right, we have a question from D'Angelo Smith Jones Jackson.
How do y'all feel about traveling around to these other restaurants and checking them out? What's your plan for that, and how are you all staying safe?
All right, first of all, Home Slice, you're driving while you leave that. I hope that was hands-free. I hope you were driving safely. We want our readers and listeners to be safe first and foremost. Am I right?
Yes.
So besides that,
sure.
Good question. Our travel, without question, has been impacted. As a matter of fact, our company has a travel moratorium on us right now due to concerns about the COVID-19 pandemic. So once upon a time, a couple of us would hop on an airplane and fly wherever, San Francisco, San Antonio, Miami, wherever we were going, visit pizzerias. We'd have a blast. We'd get to know the pizzeria owners. We'd take photography and video and interview the pizzeria owner, the whole 9 yards. That's difficult to do right now during the pandemic. However, we are still making that happen. Josh and Denise, you guys just visited a pizzeria yesterday, actually, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We drove.
We drove about 120 miles or so.
Yeah.
To a place in the eastern part of the state. It's an amazing pizzeria that will be in our.
They're just killing it.
Yeah, Miguel's in November, October issue. So yeah, and we masked up and just follow all the protocols and as safely as we possibly can, and we still go through the kitchen. We're not in there as long. Taking my photos and getting right out. Like I said, still have the mask on, not getting around anyone. And then we get our pizzas outside and that's where I do the photography at. It's not ideal, but we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, I agree. It's, we try to be as safe as possible. And, I'm a freak about it. So I always carry hand sanitizer and wipes and things. So, we're following the CDC just like everyone else. So,
yeah, we've been to 2 locations since this started in the last 2 months. They've both been within driving range, of course. But it's went pretty well so far.
Yeah.
I'm also photography wise leaning on our operators as well for via 313 our Indie of the Year. I had some photos because I'd been there before, but I needed some fresh new photos. So Consumable Content lend us some photos, gave us some photos that they take for their marketing company. So yeah, like I said, I've been leaning on the operators as well to get photos, especially of photos of their staff, with their mask on, for for other features in the magazine as well. So
And
it's a big help from them.
And I can't give enough of a shout out to Zoom, because that has been kind of a savior for us, because I actually can sit and do a full interview one-on-one with the operator. I mean, it's not like in person. It's not like that, that in-person experience of seeing the pizzeria, but I can have that one-on-one with the operator. So in the meantime, it's helping a little bit to be able to do the Zoom calls as well.
Yeah, we're making it work. Just like the pizzeria operator is adjusting to his or her new normal and figuring out their processes to serve their customers and make it work. We're doing the same thing. We're absolutely still visiting pizzerias right now. They are trips we can make in our cars. Obviously, we're in Louisville, Kentucky, so Kentucky, Indiana, Tennessee, West Virginia, Missouri. We've got Illinois, Ohio. We've got 5, 6, 7 state region that we can drive to, 6 hours or less. So we have lots of options right now for the next several months until things lift and we can go back to Las Vegas and Seattle and, Omaha and all the other great places throughout the country that we need to go. So for a pizzeria owner who is hoping one day we'll walk through their doors, we probably still will. Right now, obviously we're driving, but we're making it work, and we'll continue to make it work until this pandemic subsides, and then we can go about business as usual. So good question.
All right. I think we got time for another couple questions. Does that sound good to you guys? Couple questions.
Sure.
This is from, I like this question. This is from Ray Collison of Kingman, Arizona, at Charlie's Pizzeria on Instagram. We've heard a lot about the pizza business. I'm interested in each of your personal experiences with pizza. What's your favorite style of pizza? And what can you guys remember about your first experiences with pizza?
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Denise, roll with it.
Favorite style,
Okay.
and like, what's your first experiences with pizza?
Okay, my favorite style right now, like, it changes so much because I'm like, my mood depends on what pizza style I'm digging at the moment. For right now, it's got to be like a Sicilian or a Detroit. Right now, I love those styles right now. And I can tell you that one of my first experiences with Detroit was actually at Pizza Expo when Jeff Smokovich had his demonstration, and I got to go behind the scenes and taste the Detroit. That edge, the cheesy, crusty edge. Oh man, it was divine. And I've had several since, and I'm really digging on that. But my first experience with pizza, I mean, I've been eating pizza forever, from the Midwest. So tavern style, thin kind of style, is kind of the norm for me.
Jeremy?
It's a tough question. It varies. I won't say by the day, but certainly over time it varies. Sometimes I go through a little spree where I want a really good grandma pie, and then sometimes I find myself craving a big foldable New York slice or a Neapolitan. So it really does. It really varies over time. Right now, at this exact moment in my personal life here, as a pizza connoisseur, I would say that I would be trending towards a grandma pie right now. It's a style that I wasn't overly familiar with until about 10 years ago. And the first time I had a really good one on Long Island, I was like, wow, I've been missing out. And it's a very simple pizza. It's one that's not common in the Midwest, not common in Louisville, Kentucky, where we live, where Pizza Today is located. We don't run into them too often, except for when we're traveling. And, Josh, you and I even had an amazing grandma pie. I don't know if you remember this, but we had one in Los Angeles, of all places, about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And that threw me for a loop. I didn't expect to even see one in LA, and we had a great one. So they're out there. They're not just in the Northeast.
Think of the name of the place of that. Or I can't think of
that.
No,
I can't remember either, unfortunately. But
it was at the end of a 10 spot tour in LA. So yeah, it's all a blur at that point.
It was. We walked in with very low expectations by virtue of it being the last spot of the day after eating 9 or 10 other pizzas, and it was awesome. It blew us away. So
it was the best we had the whole trip. So
it's a very simple pizza. You're just boiling it down to the dough, sauce, and cheese, really. And it's a pretty Spartan pie, but there's a lot of elegance and beauty in the simplicity. And I think that right now that's what I'd go with.
So, first experiences with pizza, Jeremy?
Oh my. Well, my first experience with pizza probably would have been going all the way back to Pizza Hut's Book It program, second or third grade. I'd read a book. My teacher would give me a, little voucher for a free pizza at Pizza Hut, and my parents would take me to Pizza Hut, and I'd get my free personal pizza that I was so proud of that I earned it myself by reading a book. That's probably my first pizza experience, but my first really eye-opening, holy cow moment came in New York, was at Grimaldi's Pizzeria directly underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. And I'd had good pizza. I'd say mediocre pizza, but fairly good pizza all my life up until that point. And that's the day that I had the first truly excellent, oh wow, pizza that I'd ever had. And of course, we've had several since then as a result of our travels and tasting pizzas at the International Pizza Challenge and things like that. But up until that point in time, I had never had a truly remarkable right home to your mama pizza until I had that pizza. And it just opened a whole new world for me.
Right. I'm on that grandma train as well. The biggest thing is we can't get them here. I don't think there's a place around here that has grandma pies. So, that adds a little bit to it, like, not being able to get it. But, overall, my favorite style is, give me like Sally's and John's on Bleecker. And those are my two go-tos forever. So those are my favorite two pizzas of all time. Thin and crispy. So first pizza experience. I grew up in a really small town, 2 stoplights. So we had maybe 3 restaurants total. I don't even think we had a pizzeria when I was a young kid. But we had a place called the Dairy Mart, served burgers, milkshakes, all that stuff. And they had pizza. And basically it just tasted like oregano on cheese. So it was like not a great experience, but we had a Pizza Hut in the neighboring town. And that was kind of, I guess, my first real pizza experience. You go there and you play the sit down Miss Pac-Man arcade. And then, you would get your deep dish pizza. So I guess that was my first pizza experience. But going to New York, I'm right there with you, Jeremy, but it was John's for me when I was just like, oh, wow.
John's was mine too.
This
Big
is it.
fan of John's. I know Denise is too. John, absolutely. John's is fantastic.
So, and then, and like I said, when I went to New Haven and I had Sally's, I had that same kind of, oh, okay, this is it for me. This is just hits my sweet spot. So, yeah.
How about that Tony's, the Brooklyn pizza from Tony G? That was one of them for me too.
Yeah. And that Brooklyn pizza's on Goldbelly right now, so I hover around the buy option on that Goldbelly to try to buy that at least once a week, so I can have it sent to my house.
Denise, the first time I had burrata on a pizza was at Tony's in San Francisco, and I'm a huge fan of burrata now. I dream about it, but I never had it. I never had it on a pizza until Tony G set one in front of me, and it was just amazing. So you can never go wrong by going to Tony's in San Francisco. You never go wrong.
I think my first Neapolitan pie was John Goldsmith. So I mean, that's a great first Neapolitan pie.
Mine was a Tutabella in Seattle, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind as well. Joe Fager has become a very good friend of mine. Tutabella is one of my favorites without question. Seattle's a great town. And we went on that trip together, Josh. Joe really showed us around and taught us a lot about Neapolitan pizza and his coffee program and his beverage program. He does a lot of great things out there. Denise, what's your favorite pizza? I know you'd mentioned John's. What was your real eye-opening experience?
I think John's, and also, I haven't had a chance to go to Tony's place in San Francisco, but I did go to Pizza Rock. I've been to the one in Vegas, but my first experience with Pizza Rock was in Sacramento. And Pizza Rock has the multiple styles, just like that. But that Brooklyn just blew me away. I loved that slice. And then probably Josh and I went to Brooklyn, and we went to Roberta's and had this spicy pie that was just with Scott Wiener. Scott is the best tour guide in the history of tour guides when you want to go into town and visit pizzerias. But I loved that pie at Roberta's.
Roberta's is amazing. So many spots in Brooklyn. Hey, Josh, speaking of Brooklyn, do you remember last July on a sweltering, beautiful summer night in the city? We sat on the deck out back at Lucali, and I can remember the baby of our staff. I can remember the first great pizza Katie had because it literally brought tears to her eyes. Do you remember her sitting on the back patio at Lucali?
There's one table back there.
She should chime in and tell her own story.
The table was a table given primarily reserved for Beyonce and Jay-Z. And it was given
she was sitting where Beyonce sits. So it was it.
There were
I remember
there were tomato plants and fragrant basil, wafting through the air.
How dare you do this to me right now?
The stars were out. And there were tears, Josh. If you remember, there were tears running down Katie's cheek.
I wish we could see Katie right now. She may be tearing up.
Yep. Guys, once I think about it, that's probably where we peaked. And, that's why we just don't even travel. We just peaked there, and we, that's it for us.
Yeah, that was a good pizza. That was just an overwhelming experience altogether, just because I couldn't believe that this was my job now. And I just felt so lucky. And this is just the greatest job in the world. And yeah, that was a lot.
Well, I mean, we went to 4 pizzerias before that. What was the role? I mean, it was
La Industrie.
That one was good.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a best pizza.
It was so much all at once. And to be in New York when when you grew up as a person, I'm like you. It was a 2-stoplight town, and we didn't even have a pizzeria there until I was well into my teenage years. But yeah, that New York trip was probably one of my favorite experiences with pizza. That Scars pizza, just like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, where you take a bite and the cheese pulls. Oh God, so good.
It was that's Scars is New York pizza as you
this
can get
food
right
that
there.
we all love and write about and talk about and photograph. It's an iconic part of our culture as a society. I mean, when you think about it, when you go to a birthday party for a kid, it's usually pizza is served, right? Pizza's round. It's a communal food. It's designed to be set in the middle of the table. The group sits around it, reaches in, grabs a slice, and there's, family, friends. We bond over pizza, to get a little romantic and sentimental. Pizza connects us in a lot of ways. And we like to joke on Katie for it. But that we saw that night. I mean, we were sitting around, it was the 3 of us and Scott Wiener, and we're having pizza, and it is a beautiful night in the city, and we're having a good time. And then next thing you know, here's this emotion from Katie, but really what she was saying was wow, this is freaking amazing. And we all feel that when we have a really fantastic pizza. It brings us back to some distant memory of our childhood that the first time we had pizza. So this food is amazing.
And that's why it is recession proof. And that's why it is pretty much pandemic proof. Pizza will hopefully live forever. So, I think, guys, we have some more questions.
Yeah, let's do this again.
To them next time. Denise, I think you want to touch base.
So I just have a couple of announcements for Pizza Today in general. So October is National Pizza Month. We're going to be rolling out our toolkit for the operators soon. So keep a lookout for that on pizzatoday.com. But also, we want to know your COVID-19 stories. If you are a pizzeria operator, and we want to know what you've experienced over the past 6 months, the good, the bad, whether it is sending me an email with the story or recording it and sending me a link, or putting it out on video and sending me a link, that's fine. Just send it to dgreer@pizzatoday.com, and that's DGREER. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and don't think your story is trivial.
All right, well.
because it's not. You may think, we're down 5% and we've done this, and this to mitigate that, but that's probably not a big deal. It is. There are no trivial stories. Denise wants to hear from everyone so we can get a real snapshot of what's going on right now.
We look at it as, there's this moment in history that no one has ever experienced before. And we want to make sure we capture that as, this time capsule of what's happened in this time. So we really want you to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that was fun. Congratulations on a first season.
Excellent.
That's like, and thank you to all the guests that have come on and shared your stories. So, and we'll get this second season rolling.
We've got some awesome guests already lined up for season 2, so it's going to be fun.
See you guys. Thanks.